Hello friends, this is the World History class on Outline and Chronology, Part 2. In the previous class, we have spoken about Outline and Chronology World History starting from 1700s up to 1900s. 1700s to 1900s. I have stopped up to the foreign policy of Bismarck. And you should know, during 1900s, the result of the foreign policy, the significance of the foreign policy or the impact of the foreign policy of Bismarck led to emergence of what is called as aggressive nationalism, and it led to the emergence of what is called as secret military alliances, and it also led to the isolation of France. All these factors acted as an agent for the emergence of World War I. These are the important factors, and added to these factors is the unfulfilled aspirations of Serbian nationalists. Unfulfilled aspirations of the Serbian nationalists, and also unfulfilled colonial needs of Germany. Unfulfilled colonial needs of Germany. So all these factors were responsible for creating conditions responsible for World War I. The World War I is a result of existence and emergence of two armed military camps, one led by Germany, another led by Britain. So the World War I happened in the year 1914 and it concluded in 1919. So in this World War period, according to our interest, according to the UPSC, the causes and consequences of the World War I are more important, not the events which happened in 1919 to 1914 to 1919. The events, small minor battles, wars, all they are not important. What are the causes, what are the consequences, that we have to study. That will be a separate class, we will deal with that. So the World War I happened in 1914, 1919, and the World War concludes after the defeat of Germany. Germany had been defeated by powers like Britain, and America also joined this war. You must know, America joined in the latter stage, and it is characterized, France is also part of this. So the important countries which defeated Germany happens to be these important countries. Not only Germany was defeated, and along with Austria-Hungary was also defeated. So the events which happened in 1919, which is called the signing of a treaty, peace treaty, which is called Treaty of Versailles. This Treaty of Versailles was supposed to be a peace treaty which was signed with Germany by rest of the powers which have spoken, Britain, France, America, etc. But as fate would have, the Treaty of Versailles was responsible for creation of World War II. Or historians would say that the Treaty of Versailles contained those seeds which were responsible for the emergence of World War II. Why? Because the Treaty of Versailles was vengeful, the Treaty of Versailles was not justful, unnecessary Germany was blamed, and the whole blame of Germany for the emergence of First World War were put on Germany by this Treaty of Versailles. And the Treaty of Versailles also had a provision of a huge war indemnity which Germany has to give. In a nutshell, the Treaty of Versailles made Germany to accept this humiliating treaty, which was a compulsory treaty, and Germany was not allowed to discuss. So in a way, the Treaty of Versailles was responsible for emergence of Second World War. So what happened after this Treaty of Versailles? We all know the German ruler had abandoned Germany, and a government which emerged in France, which emerged in Germany, which is called Weimar Republic. A republican experiment was tried in a place which is called Weimar. So the Weimar Republic came to power in 1919, and it tried to sustain itself in the power up to 1925 in Germany. But the Weimar Republic also failed to fulfill the aspirations of the Germans, because in the foreign front it could not satisfy the Germans' aspirations, and also it could not strengthen Germany, which was economically weakened by the war, and also Germany has to pay a huge war compensation. That also the Weimar Republic could not solve. So as a result of all this, the Weimar Republic fell down, and also Weimar Republic was blamed for signing the Treaty of Versailles, and because of this the Weimar Republic became unpopular, and over a period of time one person who is called Hitler, he emerges in the stage of Germany. Hitler emerges in the stage of Germany around 1926, and he starts a party which is called Nazi Party. Nazi simply stands for National Socialism, and this Nazi party propagated something which is called aggressive nationalism. Aggressive nationalism, and Nazism, he borrowed certain concepts from something who is called Mussolini. Mussolini, who happens to be the head of Italy, and that ideology which Mussolini followed happens to be fascism. So Nazism is an offshoot of fascism. Fascism represents a government which is totally under control, a government where leader worship is there, a government where total control, where every aspect of the government is controlled. What is Nazism? What is fascism? What is the difference between these two? We will discuss all this in the separate class, and you must know Hitler borrowed the concept of a part of fascism which later came to be called as Nazism from Mussolini, who happens to be, according to Hitler, is elder one whom he copied the concept. So the rise of Hitler in Germany created many changes. Hitler initially was successful. He came to power in the year 1933 and he was largely successful initially. He addressed the grievances of Germany. He came out from the Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Versailles, he broke down the provisions of the Treaty of Versailles. All the war compensation which has to be given, he refused to give the war compensation. The territories which were taken from Germany in the First World War or after the Treaty of Versailles, everything were drawn back one after another. So in a short period of time, Hitler became very successful. The people of Germany also accepted Hitler to be their leader and to be their Führer. But all this was short-lived, because in the year 1939, when Hitler felt that sufficient groundwork had been prepared for the annexation of Europe in the year 1939, he attacks Poland. And the attack of Poland, Germany's attack on Poland, led to the beginning of something which is called World War II. And when World War II happened, again the same sequentiation happened. World War II, the period happens to be 1939 to 1945. In the World War II, Germany was on one side and Italy also joined with Germany and Japan also joined with Germany, and all these three people are called as Triple Axis, and all the rest of the countries, which is Britain, France, America and all other rest, they joined and they become allied powers. Allied powers. So in this fight between Axis powers and allied powers, initially the Axis powers were successful, but after 1942 the tide began to change. Within a short duration of time, that is in 1945, the allied powers defeated the Axis powers, and Hitler was compelled to resign, and Hitler committed suicide in the year 1945, and the 1945 the Second World War ended. The Second World War ended, but a new war began. Historians say hardly the Second World War ended, Cold War began. Cold War has got its genesis in the World War itself. I will discuss what are the reasons for the emergence of the Cold War, how this Cold War had its genesis in the World War. All this we will discuss in a separate topic. Sufficient to know that the Cold War, which began in 1945, it continued up to 1991. Cold War is an undeclared war. Cold War is not an open war. Cold War is a war in which two blocks they fight in other forums in the world, like diplomatic channels, in sports, in press, everywhere they fight, but a real war was avoided. The Cold War was fought between one bloc represented by USA, another bloc represented by USSR or elsewhere Russia. So in this Cold War, which continued from 1945 to 1991, numerous developments which happened in the Europe and numerous developments in other places in the world also is a result of Cold War. This Cold War, you must know the Korean War, which happened during 1950s, and the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962, and we have Vietnam War, 1960s, Vietnam War, later Afghan War, 1979-80. All are nothing but a representation or a result of the Cold War. And the Cold War had numerous disadvantages, and the Cold War was responsible for mutual destruction. The Cold War led to something which is called arms race, and over a period of time the Cold War was mutually destructive to both the blocs, and amongst the two blocs, USSR began to decline initially. The first country to decline in the Cold War happens to be USSR, and the decline of the USSR is because of lot many factors. Not only Cold War. Cold War was also a reason for the decline of USSR, and there are internal weaknesses of something which is called Communist Party. there is an internal weakness of something which is called socialist style of functioning and nationalistic pressure. Like this, numerous factors were responsible for the decline of the USSR, and USSR not only declined starting in 1985, and over a period of time the USSR began to disintegrate starting from 1989, and the disintegration was complete in 1991. So once the USSR disintegrated in 1991, the Cold War came to an end. But our topic does not stop, the UPSC's topic does not stop in the end of the Cold War, because after the end of the Cold War, America, USSR begins to emerge as a universal power, and over a period of time it has got its own consequences. So emergence of America after the disintegration of USSR is also another important topic. So what I have said is that we'll try to understand a bit backwards. So I said that disintegration of USSR happened in 1991. I am trying to tell you how all the topics are interconnected in the world history. I am trying to connect all the topics, because no event in history happens in isolation. All the events which happened in the history happens to be interconnected. So 1991, USSR disintegrated. The disintegration of USSR is a result of Cold War. Cold War starting from 1945. Cold War is a result of World War II. I told you. World War II is a result of, you must know, Treaty of Versailles, which is 1919. Treaty of Versailles is a consequence of something which is called World War I. World War I emerged because of the policies of Bismarck. Because of the policies of Bismarck and aggressive nationalism, or the unification of Germany. The unification of Germany is a violation of something which is called Treaty of Vienna, which was signed in the year 1815. So the Treaty of Vienna is a result of rise of Napoleon, and Napoleon breaking over all the existing order. So Napoleon was also present. So Napoleon is also a child of the French Revolution, the French Revolution of 1789. French Revolution is a result of something which is called rise of Renaissance and Reformation. So the Renaissance and Reformation in some way, you can say, is connected to USSR disintegration in the year 1991. So this is a brief outline, and you must know there are some other topics which are also present here. There are some other topics like something which is called American Revolution of 1776. We have some other topic which is called French Revolution, which I have said, but French Revolution also has to be studied separately, of 1789. There is something which is called Russian Revolution of 1917. Then we have Chinese Revolution of something which is called 1949, and we have something which is called Industrial Revolution of 1740s. So all this happens to be the minor topics, and sometimes you can give some importance to something which is called Japan's Industrial Revolution, and you can give some importance to parts of Africa. So this is a brief outline of world history starting from 1900s to 1991 or so. So in these two classes, I think I have given a brief outline, and in the subsequent class I will tell you how you have to read world history, how you can easily understand world history, what are the interconnections which are existing, that we will discuss. Thank you.